Ladies and gentlemen, this is T with the Arcane Bear. Today we are going to be taking another look at Bitcoin as it does what it does, as well as some of the altcoins that we are interested in. So let's just take that in mind and dive right in. Boom, so super easy. Let's make sure I actually pause myself because I don't want to hear myself double down on myself right now. That's for sure. So yesterday, for those of you that joined us in the evening, we were chatting about Bitcoin's current trend line here at around the $7,900 area. Actually, it's around 8,008, 8,015 where the volume's finding support. So a big question right now, I think, on everyone's mind is this the end of the bull run and the potential for the bull trap, which would bring us down to around the $5,700 area. And this is quite common for Bitcoin. We've seen this many times before. That it does around a 30% retracement once it's like heated itself up. And what's really interesting is we found a lot. See this area here between 6,000 right here and 7,000. This was supposed to be an area of a lot of resistance, and the fact that we didn't find any resistance between the 6,000 and the $7,000 area, it was, first off, astounding. I was very, very surprised that that was the case. So one of the things that's interesting to us now is that because we know there's room for upside potential, because we're technically, I mean, as far as I can tell, we're in a bull market. It's been continuing, everything is going smoothly. We have to really, really watch closely because one of two things are going to happen. We're either going to have that run to around $11,200 that we were pointing out last night. So I want to show everyone that might not have been here last night what our interest is at this particular space right now. But there's a large volume profile pillar that comes out around the 12,000 mark. Let's see here. Oh, it's on the daily. We gotta look on the daily for it to be a little more pronounced. Okay, so here we are on the daily for Bitcoin right now. And then when we zoom in, on the right hand side here, see this little yellow bar that's jetted out a little bit? This is the second pillar of support. Now this is the one that we've been hitting and bouncing around everywhere between 7,800 and the top of it is at around 8,330, 8,306-ish. Right, as we zoom in and we can actually get a little bit more data from that, it tops out at around 8,342 for this volume profile. Now what's really interesting to me, again, because this is always just a process of learning, is that on the hourly chart, we've actually seen a heck of a lot more resistance at this area than we did at the 6,000. So the fact that we're finding resistance here is really interesting to me because, again, we're expecting to some degree a 30% retracement. Now, again, to the upside, if we drop in, again, we go back to the daily on Bitcoin. Let's say we just continue to break out and we're in total fucking la land and there's no coming down anymore. We grab the top of this wave, we bring it down to the previous of our where we were, and we can easily see that there's another volume profile fill right here at around 11,000 and then to 11,485. Once it breaks 11,485, if that were the case, there's nothing really holding it back to run to 20,000 very quickly. So a big part of the question is, if this is institutional FOMO, how much do we go before we get an institutional retrace? A lot of these big boys know that it's in their best interest to drop the price back down like a fucking hammer so they can pick more of it up at a cheaper price, right? So if I'm buying a bunch back down here, I'm going to sell it up here and just basically liquidate my price all the way back down to 6,000 because we took a bunch of entries in the $3,000 area. So it's a really big question on everyone's mind right now is, are we just going to keep going higher or are we basically going to drop? So I think there's definitely the possibility for the run to around $11,000, which would present the 1618 extension if we consider this our first area of resistance, which it is since around 5,000. Now, if we do the same thing here, we bring to the top of wave, the first of wave one, which we could say, again, the Fibonacci tool is great for this type of stuff. It's very flexible. So now what we've done is we've made the top of the $5,000 200 area where we found the most support, wave one. And we've basically hit the 2618 extension on the top here. So if I actually drag this down a little bit more into the middle, it'll probably a little bit more clear. So we've hit the 1618 from this as your top of the wave extension. So if we go all the way to 11,000, that would represent the 4236 line of this first wave, which is huge. This is all huge momentum. So do we go higher and run to 12,000? Yeah, that's likely. Am I betting on it? No, I'm actually not betting on either of these directions right now. All I'm doing is watching. I'm going to continually watch over and over until I see a break. Now this morning on the hourly chart in Bitcoin, we actually started to see a little bit of that that pause, not a break, but a pause, which is in some way, shape, or form leading into what could be a break. So I think right now one of the most important things we can do is keep a really close eye on what's going on in the market, because with Bitcoin right now at this particular level, and again this support and resistance, this sideways trend, we haven't seen yet. There's a really strong volume support profile that goes all the way up to what was it, 83.60, I think. It's much more prevalent on the daily charts, guys. Always remember to move in and out of what you're looking at. It makes your image a lot more clear. So basically what we're seeing here is this top of this the top of this volume profile fill is actually currently acting as our major support. Right here, and it tops out at around 83.40. So we saw yesterday, we actually candle wicked down again back into the hour chart. We candle wicked against this 83.40 line almost for, let's see, how long were we up there yesterday before we came back down to test the bear claw. Okay, so we were up at the top testing that 83.30 line for approximately 11 hours before dropping back down to the bottom of the bear claw. So for those of you that are interested, this nice EMA color line that we're seeing, this is called the bear claw. This is one of the free indicators that we give away at part of the Arcane Bear family. So if you want, follow us on TradingView by going to tradingview.com/arcane-bear, or you can just find us on TradingView, I think, by searching people under here and going Arcane Bear. From there, if you click on scripts, you can actually download this script and you can use it on your screen as well. Be sure to give us thumbs up on these as well. The Eagle Crossing we are still working on. It's nice as well. Again, I don't stack these two. You use them independently because if you use the bear claw over top of the Eagle Crossing, you won't be able to see the Eagle Crossing's information. But anyways, at the bottom of the bear claw here, we bounced right off the $8,000 mark. So this is where we have been finding multiple wick support, and we actually have a very strong line of buy support here at 762. So there's a massive area at $7,622, $32 that we have to break right here on this blue line, and then the corresponding downtrend lines are 71.60 and 68.90. So we want to, on the downside potential, these are the marks that I would set indicators at, right? So say I'm going out for the day and I want to keep an important eye on this trade, especially to see if it's a bull trap, right? So if it's a bull trap, a break below 6,800 would represent that. So what I do is I go over into TradingView here, I hit the little sidebar button, I say add an alert for Coinbase, breaking at 68.60, and then I do the same here. 71.90, add for alert, and these are all one-time alerts, so as soon as they get break down, it will send me an alert. So these are all the descending possibilities that could bring us down to that 30% retracement mark that's down there near the $5,200 area. So if we grab again our volume price range, just so you can see, down to 5,600, anywhere between 5,200 and 5,600 would represent a 30% retracement to find potential support. Now that's the downside potential. Remember, in TA, there's no exactly, hey, this is what's going to happen. These are the different variations of things that can happen, and this is what you can do to be aware of those things as they happen. There's no specific thing that's going to happen. So again, on the upside, if we break out past 84.44, that's where the strong side of the volume profile support on the daily starts to disappear, then that uptrend to 11,000 could happen very quickly. So also what I go in and do is right at this 84.44 mark, I set another alert as basically a long signal alert. So I have 3 downtrend alerts now and 1 uptrend alert that will notify me if Bitcoin starts to move in that direction. Because if it breaks 7,600 and 7,200, then we're probably coming back down to around 6,000 and maybe even 5,300. Again, these are all descending possibilities. But right now, we're really bumping up against this volume profile support. And I mean, we get to see what the institutional markets are going to do to this now. We know that a lot of big boy players are coming in. We've got friends that specifically know of multi-billion-dollar companies, hundreds of billions of dollars in assets under management that are looking to get into this space, and they're doing it quite consistently. So if we go to CoinGecko and we look up at the coin We see our current market capitalization is up at 251 billion. It's almost doubled the market capitalization in the last 10 days, or last 20 days alone. Look at this. Now that Bitcoin's found some stability, so you can see a 50% uptick in Ethereum versus Bitcoin over the last 7 days. This is why I mentioned the importance of watching your swing trades really closely, because if you are capitulating back and forth between those, there's actually lots of room for gains. So I'm going to basically take a look at some of your guys' questions here in the next few minutes. But let's take a look at Ravencoin and DigiByte, because these are both positions that I've closed out now, at least for the short term. Again, long term, I'm really interested in both DigiByte and Ravencoin. So Ravencoin right now, it made that 40% gain that we've been looking for. So for those of you that are in the private Bear Den member, thank you all for supporting us. If you haven't joined the private Bear Den members and you'd like to, you can go down to the links below. It's arcanebear.com/club. It's $30 a month. We are doing infographics. We've got a great community support center. We do a newsletter, deep dives into different tokens every month. We do a chapter every 2 weeks on the trading book that we're building. So it's non-stop hand over fist content for you guys. And also, actually, if you go down to into just below in the links below, you can actually find the Bear Claw and the Eagle Crossing links. So be sure to download those and give us the thumbs up, not just on the content that we're producing, but also on these live videos too. So Raven on the daily brought in very quickly this 40% move that we were looking for. It actually butted up around 43.5%, right to the top wick of the Bear Claw here. Now, I exited my position this morning at around 750 again, after having exited at 790 and then 860, re-entered at 750, and then re-exited again at 760 last night. I took a few small trades. Again, be very, very wary of that. Don't do that unless you are a more advanced trader. It's very easy to lose money on fees alone, let alone a fast market turn and going the opposite direction. So if you're a newbie or would-be trader, the best thing you can always do is just watch and learn by paying attention to the chart. So one of the interesting things that we're watching actually on the much shorter time frame is the hourly chart, and all of the Arcane Bear admins and I were talking this morning, and we were basically looking at the potential of this being a right shoulder. So if we actually see volume close around 795 here, I may re-enter a position in Raven for another gain. Now again, we re-entered around 700 this morning and we exited around 750. Again, I wasn't concerned about this top side potential for 780, but look, we hit it on the wick, right? So we know that it's possible. It's just that volume didn't hit. I'd rather get out here at 750 than for that extra 3%. Worry about the downside potential here, which could be anywhere of around 20%, right? So it's always a risk adjustment way to build this game. So for those of you that ask, on the volume support side here, this is called the volume profile. This is only a part of the pro version of TradingView. I do believe we have some affiliate links that make it cheaper or something. I'm not entirely sure. If not, either way, sign up for TradingView Pro if you happen to be active in this space. If you're not active, they do give you a free account, so don't worry about it. The volume, again, indicators are just supposed to give me as many insights to the one idea that I'm trying to decide on which direction are these monsters moving in. So again, Ravencoin and DigiByte too. So if I take a look at DigiByte, the exit came in around last night about 185 Satoshis. Again, these are all really short-term trades. If we look at the 4-hour here, let's see, are we still long? See, so DigiByte's actually still showing a long on the 4-hour, but look how deep this wick came down to 148 Satoshis. It was very, very deep. So again, you want to keep an eye on all of your positions in these types of trades, because if we look at DigiByte, there's a lot of potential here, but it's not necessarily today. It's over the next few months, year. Now, hopefully before December 31st, because just for shits and giggles, we made a bet with our legal counsel versus EOS in terms of gains, but that's just for shits and giggles bet. I like to bet on the market, not against people, because I'd rather keep my friendships free of that type of behavior. Anyways, the point of this is, we basically put an air bet on DigiByte versus EOS in terms of gains. Now on the daily here, again, we've been stubbing up against the bottom. The bottom of the VPR shows around 100 Satoshis. So again, that actually represents quite a big movement downwards, if around 30% potential downwards, but there's a big potential still upwards for DigiByte. And this is what I was trying to show on the daily. And this is what I'm interested in. But again, these are very speculative moves. We could see a run all the way up to 244 Satoshis on the daily, which would represent a 70% move in total. So I'm watching DigiByte really closely because there's a potential for something very interesting here. But on the 4 hour, we've actually just turned down on our moving average multi-time frame here. See, as you can see, we crossed the red line and we're breaking down. Now, the big question is, do we find stability at 50 and move back up, or do we continue to break down? Because if we continue to break down, it'll probably bring us back down to around the 150 Satoshi area. Now, what's interesting here, if you zoom into DigiByte, there's no real wave one. You could speculate right now very, very easily that this was just the wave one of DigiByte. So the wave two might come back down to 153, wave three up like this, and wave four and wave five like this. So we might see that 84% extension. But again, these are all really weary trades. Unless you are experienced and have money to lose, kind of, or at least know how to lose without cutting your own head off, then this is a very, very interesting position to be in. Now, again, you guys are asking me to look at Ethereum and XLM, and I will definitely do that. So again, if you guys want, get your questions ready, pump them into the chat there. I'll do my best to go through. What I want these to be is just as much education for everyone as possible. So my goal here with these live streams isn't to tell you guys what to buy or what to sell. It's to show you the indicators that I'm using to see what I believe a more clear picture of the markets as things develop. Oh, I love how all my lines got extra thick. Love when my lines look thick like that. I don't know what I just did, but everything looks much thicker. I like it. Anyways, here, oh, that's DigiByte. Let's go back to Ethereum. Oh yeah, look at these great thick lines. Okay. So here we are on Ethereum, and nicely enough, actually, Ethereum broke out of that 3.3 million Satoshi area that we were talking about last night. So for those of you that joined us, we had mentioned that there was a potential re-entry around 3.1 million, and for the potential of a run for around 4.2 million. So if right now, if DigiByte starts to break out Ethereum breaks out past this 3.4 million Satoshi mark, it could very easily run to 4.2 million Satoshis. Now, for those of you wondering what the fuck is that in dollar price, please understand, I don't care. I don't care, because if we're paying attention to it in dollar price, I'll never know what it is in Bitcoin price. And all I want to do with Ethereum is essentially earn more Bitcoin. So Ethereum actually showed a really great return on investment here, around 30%. But at the same point, Raven did 40%. And again, like I mentioned this a few times before, is I'm kind of like a goldfish. I only have so much mental capacity to make an entry and an exit, right? So instead of being long in Ethereum and DigiByte and Flow and Raven and EOS all at the same time, I just pick one and I go from there and I watch it. I watch it very, very closely, because if I move my eyes away from this space too quickly, I definitely forget. So right now here, if we take a bit more of an in-depth process look at Ethereum, on the 4 hour, we actually got our long call come in yesterday at 2.6 million Satoshis. And it's still moving upwards. Again, the heavy area of support, if we actually roll out, give more data here on Ethereum, we can see that there's the next heavy line of resistance actually comes out at 3.41 million Satoshis. If it breaks that, again, we could easily run up to around the 4.2 million Satoshi mark. And there's a few ways that you can see the importance of this. There's your Fibonacci retracement tool, which you can just drag down to our previous bottoms here. You can see that we found support at the 0.5 area, resistance at the 0.5 area right here, as you normally do, as one would, placed in these positions. It dropped back down to the 386 and then right there rocketed back up through the 0.5, and it seems like it's well on its way to the 3.5 million Satoshi mark. Again, which will represent the potential for another 3% right there. I suspect it will drop back down, test the 618, but if Ethereum breaks out of the 786 here, this is when the Fibonacci tool starts to look really bullish, is when you break out past the 786. So if we get all the way to 3.7 million Satoshis, we're probably going to 4.2, and we could even see some bull run all the way to maybe 5 million Satoshis. Now, Ethereum's special in comparison with something like Litecoin, right? Now, Litecoin, on the other hand, has never once broken out past previous all-time highs all the way since early 2012. It has the same all-time highs, and it's never once gone over 5/10 of a Bitcoin. Never once. Whereas Ethereum here, we actually see a 14th of a Bitcoin. No, Litecoin is even less. Litecoin's highest was what is it? 25,000 Satoshis was the highest Litecoin has ever gone versus Bitcoin's price. Whereas when Ethereum here, you actually have 14 million Satoshis up at its highest. So significantly higher evaluation rate next to Bitcoin. Now, again, with Litecoin, there's room for more upside potential, especially because we see that there's what could be a could be cup and handle. That's what I'm trying to say. That formed right here. That bounced off your exponential moving average, and it's already made the same gains that we saw in the other tokens. So again, this is all about interest and investment on the short term. See, here's a 20%, but what basically amounts to a 20% gain to get to the top of the bear claw itself. Now, with Litecoin, again, you've actually seen a little bit better of a return on Ethereum on the short term, right? But again, this is the thing, this is all very temporary. It's also one of the reasons, like I said, I only pay attention to one or two things at a time. Now, it seems likely we're going to come touch 3.6 million Satoshis today, especially now that it looks like we're breaking through this very heavy area of support at around 3.4 million Satoshis. So if you're in an Ethereum position, I would keep a close eye on it, because it's also very likely you could see a retracement back to 3 million Satoshis, which would basically erase 12% of your gains in almost a heartbeat. So if right now, if the RSI turns lower and we start to come down here based off this volume profile support at 3.4 million, which we're look like we're closing above now. Look at that. So we're actually going to see if it closes above this volume profile support right now. If it does, we'll likely run to 3.6 million and then to 3.9 million within the rest of the day. So keep a really close eye on Ethereum if you're already in a position. If you're not, again, I don't like to jump in mid-trade because there's just so much to potential for downside when you're up that high. And here you see a rising price but declining RSI. That's not a bullish signal. It's actually bearish in terms of, at least on the hourly right now, it's bearish in terms of a rising price and a declining RSI. But it's gone straight up. So you could also put in the assessment that, okay, well, maybe we've seen waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're seeing a real big push on wave 5. Or this could have been wave 4, and we're just seeing the start of wave 5. And this, let's actually delete that and start over. Again, with the Elliott wave, there's no exact way to do it. It's all about kind of guesswork. This could be 1, this could be 3, this could be 5, or you could see that this may have actually, let's delete this one. This may have actually ended up being the potential 1 as it is too. So this could be the 1, this could be the 2, this could be a 3, and we could just be starting a 4 and a 5, which again, that 4.2 million Satoshi area doesn't look too far away. And we do know that Ethereum is in the top tokens that all the big boys are probably interested in acquiring more of. So I think we're going to see big rolls in Bitcoin, and then big rollovers back into things like Ethereum, Litecoin, Flow, Raven, DigiByte, Tron, all of these essentially. Everything that we had looked at the last few days. So if you guys can, remember to smash those thumbs up. Super helpful, grateful for all the support. We're going to be doing live videos like this as frequently as possible. If this is just the easiest format for us at the current moment, I'm going to get back into the vlogs when I have more time. But seeing Ethereum run right now today is a beautiful thing, because it's the only one that has those big gains in our watch list. Now, I'm not in Ethereum at the moment, but I'm just as happy to watch and learn and pretend like I'm in a trade and look for and think to myself, well, if I was in this right now, where would I be looking for an exit? And again, because we just broke through that range of the volume profile right here at a 3.2 million, and we didn't stop. We're probably going to hit 3.6 million within the next few hours, and we're going to probably top out on the RSI here. Now, again, this is an important part to watch, because if we actually see that there's a decline in the RSI top out here too, it's important. You want to keep a close eye on this. But look at this here. This is also how you can tell we're about to make a big explosion. On the daily right now, this is called a bullish divergence. When you have a falling price, but a rising RSI spike like this. And you can see it twice. There's actually a rising RSI spike here too. It's a little bit less noticeable, but definitely noticeable here. Declining price, but big price spike, boom. And the higher lows on the RSI as well. So there's actually a lot of indicators that that Ethereum is going to do this. But again, it's all a game of averages. Here you have a return for 30% when Raven had already done that. So if you were in Raven and then all of a sudden last night capitulated from Raven into Ethereum on the hourly, you could have pulled in an extra 10% in a very short period of time. But again, on Raven, even if you jumped in Raven this morning at around the 600 mark, where we had all this support and multiple things showing us there's support here, you were already 11% up, right? So I mean, you could just be playing one token and have the same amount of trades. And I actually think it's better to get used to the way one index operates. It has its own kind of like feelings, its own emotions. Like Raven has been one of my favorites because I've grown to know some of the signs and symbols of what it's going to do next. So here we expected this 50% jump because it's exactly what it did last time. Now it's probably going to come down and decline all the way to around 400 Satoshis. It might take, let's see, 100 days to do that. So there's maybe 100 more days of downtrend. So I'm not hodling Ravencoin, but if you imagine we're 100 days out ish, right? That puts us into the beginning of August for another potential where we see the same thing that we saw last time, which is that when Raven does its thing, there's 600% gains to be made every step of the way. And we saw that twice now. So, I mean, I like to kind of learn how one of these guys operate. Now, again, on the daily, we're actually still strong on the upside on the multi-time frame MACD. But again, I want to see a breakout past 0.5, and then that might be a confirmation for the fact that this is a potential head and shoulders with a leaning positive right. If we actually close above the bear claw here to the right, we may actually be able to consist that this was a very long wave 1, 2, 3, very long 4, and then maybe a sideways 5, and that could be a potential. Now, I'm not betting on that. Again, we've been out of Raven since 1200, aside from this quick little capitulation off the bottom of the moving average. Anyways, I hope that was helpful for you guys. I'll take one quick look at XLM, and then we'll dive off for the day, make it super easy. So basically that was XLM, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin for the day. So I'll take a look at XLM. So XLM's near the top of its volume, or sorry, of the bear claw. It's already done 35%. The top of the bear claw represents another potential for 30% on the daily. We're still in the mid-range of the RSI. We're actually above the mid-range of the MACD on multi-time frames too. So it's actually looking quite positive. And here on XLM, we're about to test the previous high. Now the only downside is we see a rising or a lower RSI and a rising price. So that's technically a little bearish. Although it's too early in the day to tell. We still have another 58 minutes on this hourly candle. If this hourly candle closes, we can get a much better view of it if we zoom in here. Yeah, so I mean, XLM this morning dropped down to 1700. It's already made an 11% increase. It's probably going to find resistance around 1950, retest 1840, and then it's going to decide if it does a breakout. Now, again, if on the 15-minute right now, if we're to imagine that there's an Elliott wave process here, it's pretty easy to think that, okay, well, this was your wave 1, your wave 2, your wave 3, 4, 5, potentially. So this might just be a retest of the double top. Whether it breaks out further or not, you really got to watch quite closely, because on the hour we have, actually we're well above. I'd keep a really close eye on XLM if you're in a position here, or if you're interested in taking it, I would look at only an extension for a very short blowback. But again, because we have a declining RSI and a rising price, that's not a great signal necessarily. But again, these are, I mean, this morning if you had entered and you're in and out of a trade in 6 hours for 12%, if you threw 10 grand into that trade, you're walking around with $1,200 in less than fucking 6 hours, 5 hours, right? So just remember, guys, a lot of this is learning how to find your own trade strategy, risk adjustments, and then build and grow from there. And then remember to always roll in and out of time frames as best you can. We're gonna leave it at that. I'm super excited. I'm grateful for all your guys' support. Again, remember to give us those thumbs up. It helps other people later on down the stream find this content. If you're new to the Bear family, please go to arcanebear.com, sign up for a free newsletter. If you want to sign up for the private Bear Den newsletter, where we have a lot more useful information and a community of people that are there to help you, it's $30 a month. It's discounted if you pay for the year. We do now accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dash, so if you feel like doing that, it's all up to you, although I suggest spending your fiat instead of your Bitcoin. It's probably better just to save it no matter what direction it goes in. So we do have the fiat on-ramp for PayPal as well. Anything else? Yes, please download our free trade indicators. Those are down in the links below, or you can find us by signing up for TradingView. And then again, just remember to give us those likes. We're just trying to build as much as an outreach and a portfolio for everyone to be able to build and work together. The Bear Claw is the indicator that I use here with all these nice colors. It's basically a revision of what's known as the Super Guppy or the Madrid moving averages. It's a lot of fun. Remember, anything else? Have any questions, thoughts you guys have? Leave those in the comments down below. You can join our free Telegram channel. We just try to give you guys as much as possible, really. So be sure to find your way and roll around through the Bear Cave. There's tons of great stuff there for you guys to stumble into. Steal with the Arcane Bear. Again, super grateful for all your support. I'm going to dive off for the rest of the day. Actually, I may even come on live tonight just because I'm playing around with how to do live streams and stuff like this and get back into some type of regularity with the content. So thank you guys. It means a lot to me. It's Teal with the Arcane Bear. I am signing off for the rest of the day, and we'll see you guys on the other side.